Most candidates make a huge mistake when they get a job offer. They stop interviewing, they stop applying, and they just sit back, relax, and they go, I've got the new job, I'm good to go. In today's video, I'm gonna tell you why that is a massive mistake and what you should do instead. Let's go. Okay, so it is very normal for when you get an offer for you to shut down your interview process. A lot of candidates make what I consider to be a pretty big mistake, and they get a job offer, and they're already interviewing with other companies, and they call those companies and withdraw. And they go, hey, I've accepted an offer, thanks, but no thanks. And they move away. They go, okay, this is what it was all about. I've achieved what I wanted to achieve, so I'm just going to stop. In today's video, I'm going to give you 3 compelling reasons why you should not do that. And instead, you should do exactly the opposite. Now, the first key reason why you shouldn't do that is when you actually get an offer, you are at your best. You are the best version of yourself. As an interviewer, it will never get better. What most people run into when they are interviewing is they are incredibly nervous. They have a situation where it is like the highest of stakes. You can either get an amazing new job or you can fail. And this is especially true if you're unemployed or you're escaping a toxic environment. But even if you're in a good job, going to an interview, interviewing well is nerve-wracking. People hate it. They don't have experience. But when you get to the point where you have an offer, the reality is you know enough about interviewing to be dangerous. You're probably a good interviewer. Additionally, you no longer have the stress and the nerves of needing to get that new job. You already have a new job. So the reality is, if you have additional interviews, you are probably going to nail them because you don't have the burden of needing to win, right? Because you already have a job and you have experience. So the reality is, you might be interviewing for some really big jobs that otherwise you wouldn't perform as well as you could. But now you're the best version of yourself. So you owe it to yourself to go nail those interviews. Now the second point kind of follows the first point. What if you get a better offer, right? So the reality is, you accepted an offer, you're good to go. So it's probably a really good offer. You're probably pretty happy. But if you're interviewing with a few other companies, or if you apply and get an interview after you've already accepted one, there's still the possibility you might get a bigger and better offer. And if you do get a bigger and better offer, you should absolutely go for that. Even though you've already said yes, you're accepted the job, even if you've already signed an offer letter, the reality is you owe that new company nothing. 30 days from now, they could have a downturn in business, and because you were the most recent hire, they might decide to move on from you instead of more tenured employees. That happens all the time, so you don't owe them anything. So the second reason why you should continue interviewing, and you definitely shouldn't withdraw from interview processes, is because there's still the possibility you land a bigger, better offer with more money, and that might be more aligned to where you want to take your career. So you owe it to yourself just to make sure you're exploring every avenue before you shut down candidate mode. Now lastly, and this might be the most important thing you hear in this video today, if you accept a job, it doesn't necessarily mean that job will be there when you start. What I'm seeing in the market today, and I've been in recruitment for 15 years, maybe more than any other time besides 2010 when I first started, is there are more rescinded offers happening now than there have been for quite some time. The market is brutal out there. There are so many layoffs. And the reality is, this October that we just went through is far worse than the October from a year ago. And a lot of companies are doing layoffs. They're continuing to downsize. And companies who are hiring, they still make downsizing decisions. So just because you get an offer doesn't mean the company, in the interim, in the 2 weeks that come from you getting an offer and you starting, it doesn't mean they won't change their mind and determine we no longer need this role. And as a result, we're going to eliminate your position and rescind your offer. That's happening all the time. I saw it on LinkedIn here. I saw it on LinkedIn here. This is happening everywhere. So you owe it to yourself to keep on interviewing, because if you accept a role and you remove yourself from the other interview process you are currently in, and then all of a sudden you get an email saying they are rescinding your offer, you are going to regret dropping out of those other processes immensely. When you are in the interview process, every once in a while, a hiring manager says to you, we'll be in touch. What does that mean? The reality is it can mean a few different things depending on some key factors. I've been in recruitment for 15 years and I explain it right here. In this video, I tell you exactly what it means. So I'm done here. I'll see you over there.